right, now at 8:30. Thanks everyone for waiting. So again, welcome everyone to Agile Americas 2023. So powered by Xebia and Scrum User Group. And we have partners like Scrum.org, Scaled Agile, Pro Kanban, and Miracle Foundation. Now, this is powered by Xebia. So who we are? So Xebia is a pioneering IT consultancy and software development company headquartered in Atlanta, USA. So we have been creating digital leaders across the globe since 2001 with our domain expertise in digital transformation. Our purpose, we create digital leaders and build resilient organizations at any scale. Our passion for people, technology, and sharing knowledge makes us uniquely qualified to do so. Now, again, in Xebia, we have a wing called ZACT, which is called Xebia Agile Consulting and Transformation. What we do as part of ZACT, we are in Agile in culture, Agile in practice, and Agile in software engineering. Like we do share knowledge sharing, transparent communication, collaboration. Again, in as part of Agile in practice, we do kind of UX and product development, management, Scrum, Kanban, scaling Agile, sustaining change. And if you do in as part of Agile in software engineering, code quality, TDD, BDD, test automation, and DevOps. So we do transformation, Agile coaching and consulting, maturity assessments. And also we do Agile training and workshops. So this is about, in brief, ZACT and in Xebia. All right. Now let me start introducing our keynote speaker today, who is kind of like Taquonda Hill. Having led global transformation, software implementation, SAP organizational effectiveness, realignment, and M&A change programs, Taquonda Hill is a strategic and results-driven agile change and global transformation leader. She holds an acumen for excellent financial and business sense. She's a dynamic communication specialist with a strong track record of recognizing and interpreting stakeholder demands and creating effective change plans that guarantee long-term capabilities and solutions that advance organizational objectives. Taquonda currently holds the position of General Manager for IT transformation at Delta Airlines, where she is responsible for operationalizing a new product-centric cloud target operating model to drive new ways of working. Taekwondo also holds double masters from US and her personal interest includes traveling. She is married and have 3 children who keep her busy. Now I hand it over to Taekwondo for the keynote. Taekwondo. Yeah, we
Okay,
can see you on screen now.
awesome. Well, good morning, everyone. And today, thank you so much for that warm introduction. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about nurturing change and resilience. With change and resilience, these are two components that work interchangeably. I feel like, I've been introduced with change and resilience at a very, very early age. One thing we know about life is change is constant and resilience finds you. This quote, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that work," by Thomas Edison really resonated with me when I think of the journey of my life and how I have been able to navigate change and resilience. Just thinking back growing up with a single mom that was very fierceful and strong, that taught us a lot of life lessons that I've been able to apply in my career and journey. I think back, at a time where my mom was working as a single mom, and she always instilled in us a strong work ethic. And thinking back to what she had to do in order to provide for myself and my sister has really fueled my fire to always look at change and resilience as opportunity and strength. I say that because I always use this term with my team. We always talk strategy, but strategy without execution is useless. And I learned that at a very young age where, and I always say this, I look at my mom that have made nothing, had to make something out of nothing. I'm sorry, I mixed up my words. And that really stuck with me. I was able to look at, change very differently. If you look at the definition of resilience of, looking at obstacles and making it better and keeping going, that has been my fuel throughout my entire career. And I have applied those principles, hindsight 2020, as a change leader in all the work that I do. I always try to look at the opportunities within change. As it relates to resilience, I always look at, what is this obstacle? What is the opportunity in this obstacle? And how do we drive value in order to make this beneficial? Next slide.
You are sharing, Taquonda, so its control is with you.
Sorry. So when you look at the tail of it all, and you look at the climate that we're in right now in corporate America, we have about five top technology initiatives that's going on across pretty much every technology industry. We're either in the midst of a cloud adoption or migration, some element of a digital transformation, some component of cybersecurity enhancement, the great AI and machine learning, and data analytics in business. And where this intersects with the work that we're doing right now is our cloud operating model, our cloud migration efforts. We've had to make a strong pivot in this. In our initial cloud adoption migration, probably about a year ago. I always think back to where we were in that transformation and our brilliant leaders that have challenged us to, not only, make the cloud migration, but make sure we bring our people along. And throughout that has really challenged, how we show up as far as in this transformation journey. I use some examples about how, when we first started off our journey, here at Delta, we looked at, we had a plan as far as, how are we going to move these workloads to the cloud? We also had a plan as far as our people, strategy. How are we going to make sure that we upskill and reskill an entire organization coming off the heels of COVID, as well as with all of the other, items that we're facing. And we really had to do a lot of reflecting, and resilience requires us to do that. We had to do a lot of reflecting. We had to make sure that our story was intact. We also had to, step back and, be more sensitive of the signs of the time, which is right now. If you look at, all of the change that, we had to uncover just by these top 5 initiatives, if you peel those layers back, you will identify very quickly that you're not only talking about, applications and, modernizing our systems, you're looking at new ways of working, new ways of leading, new people, new talent enablement processes as it relates to upskilling. How does it, how do our processes of today correlate to where we're trying to go tomorrow? Our technology, what does that mean with, the skill sets that we have right now? What will be automated? What will remain the same? What will change drastically? Are all the things that, we as leaders had to make sure that we were not only just looking at what we needed to do to complete our cloud transformation, but all of the capabilities that we will be introducing. And what does that, how does that impact our current workforce? Well, change fatigue. Statistics show that in January of 2022, they show that 50 to 70% of most transformation initiatives fail. And a lot of them fail due to change fatigue. That's heightened uncertainty, loss of productivity, lack of trust, and burnout, to name a few. If you look at the top, 5 technology initiatives, all of them have impacts how we work now and how will we work tomorrow, which heightens our, uncertainty of what does that mean for me? So when you look at the impact, and you're talking about a global technology workforce of over 10 million people, we're dealing with a lot, and we're presenting our workforce with a lot of changes. So we have to be very intentional and make sure that we understand that what does that mean for our workforce. We also have to recognize that we have within our workforce, we have 3 generations at the same time that have different, different whys and different requirements as far as, what value means to them. So how we lead, the new ways of working, all of that impacts, how we present and how we show up as change agents in today's workforce. Meanwhile, a recent Gartner study shows that employees are still struggling. We have a lot of great initiatives on the table. We're trying to, change at rapid speed, but our employees are still struggling. 23% of our employees are engaged. Only 23% of our employees are engaged at work. About 34% of the employees are fatigued, and 40% of the global workforce is burnt out. Meanwhile, as I just stated, we have all of these initiatives in play, and 8 trillion lost due to disengaged employees. So we have a disengaged employee workforce. We are changing at rapid speed based on consumer demand. And we're also coming out of a pandemic, which a lot of individuals are looking at things a lot differently. So what does that mean for us in leadership and how we show up and how we embrace change and how we ensure that we are resilient? Next slide. I have to remember that I'm changing my slides. So when you think of transforming and agility, we have to be very intentional in defining a shared vision. No longer can we continue to, show up without making sure that our customers, our stakeholders, our business partners, that's all a part of the process, they understand and have a common shared vision. In embracing resilience and change, there are three principles that you can apply to this when you look at defining a shared vision. That's making sure that we're changing our perspective. We have more fuel to the motivation around our success. We understand how to look at opportunities when there are obstacles. We help people embrace change by bringing them along the journey. The one thing that we did, which I thought was very profound in our CIO, was very intentional on setting this stage and setting this expectation is very beginning of making sure that not only we have the unit of team, but we have the unit of one. It's really important that individuals, when you're presenting individuals with so much change at rapid speed in different areas, that they can understand where they fit in this change. And that's the what's in it for me. We build an entire strategy around how would we bring our people along this journey and how would we have our leaders at the forefront of this. And we feel that was very effective because it helps for those that will embrace the change. We all know that, you are going to have some change resistors, but for having our leadership at the forefront of the change really helped us when we had to pivot to make sure that individuals knew where we were going, what was the end state, and how does this impact them. And that includes making sure we had, key messaging around the change while we're doing it, our solid business case, understanding, what does this mean for you, whether it's upskilling with learning journeys, having a persona that is customized and curated based on your career journey. Also, making sure that we understand as it relates to, our cloud transformation that, we are agile, we are iterative in the ways that we're working. I mean, you can buy, there's a quote that says you can take an elephant piece by piece, or you can try to bite them all at once. You don't want to do that when you're presenting this much change in an organization, because they will burn out. So making sure that we are iterative in our way to agility. And then more importantly, making sure that we measure and communicate value. What we measure is what we find important. So bringing individuals along during, large transformations and making sure they understand what are our objectives, what are our OKRs, is truly important in order to ensure that they are tied to the value and to be able to embrace that change. Building a resistant culture through all of this is truly important. As I mentioned before, when you're going through large transformations, such as a cloud transformation that's introducing new capabilities, new ways of leading, new processes and procedure as it relates to technology and technology, people, and process, you have to learn the art of failing fast. I look at, within resilience, yes, it is painful and it's not easy, but through that change, you find strength and vulnerability. I read a recent book, not a recent book, but I read a book by Brene Brown, and I use this and I anchor this whenever I approach a change initiative. There's power in vulnerability, and leading with empathy allows your employees to connect with you. Building strength as you navigate. I talked earlier about just my life and, you know, some of the obstacles that I learned on at a very young age, watching my mom navigate through life. And all of that navigation prepared her for purpose. If she wasn't able to navigate and take those obstacles and turn them into opportunities, I probably wouldn't be the woman that I am right now. I say this jokingly, but I actually mean it. I always talk about the word strategy, and my team knows, you know, that's the word that I'm like, okay, we always say strategy, but, you know, we have to be able to execute. And I said this to a friend recently. As a Black woman, there's no one else that can navigate strategy the way I can. Again, taking nothing and making something is something that I learned very early on. And I think that has really propelled my career in being able to navigate. And as well as, you know, take an obstacle, understand, you know, that it's just preparing you for purpose and always being willing to pivot. And I say that in my next example in resilience, understanding and knowing when to pivot. When you understand and you know when to pivot, you understand that you have to navigate. It breeds a strength of being authentic and real. And in this climate where, you know, we have a generation that wants to be anchored in purpose, that wants more transparency, it's really important that we know and understand in business when to pivot and also being authentic and real. Resilience and change, it's a superpower. It's a muscle that you can flex at any time. It's your life journey and your playbook. There's no methodology for it. I'd say you get your first course of it once you start living life. And then when you apply those principles as a leader, it definitely propels you. It helps you to be able to navigate during trying times, a lot of uncertainty. I leave you with this quote: life doesn't get easier or more forgiving. We get stronger and more resilient as we grow. Steve Marbilli. Thank you.
Thanks, Taquonda. So, audience, any questions for Taquonda?